So now it is being live streamed on our social media platform. Hello Kapil, welcome to Expert Connect. I hope so far you had a wonderful day, and followed by this you'll be having a good evening as well. So
Thank
to
you.
the audience, so I'm with Kapil Khandelwal, so he is taking care of Griffith University's admission and marketing part. I'll now leave on to Kapil to tell us more about himself.
Yeah, thank you very much. So good afternoon and very warm welcome to the audience, to all these students and the staff of Expert Education. My name is Kapil Khandelwal and I'm a regional marketing manager with Griffith University. And I take care of India and Sri Lanka as a region, associated with Griffith for more than 3 years and in this industry for more than a decade now. So having wonderful experience meeting these students and definitely helping them out to seek education overseas. Now, I'll be talking about Griffith University today, and if you have any questions, then definitely you can ask me, put it in the chat box, or otherwise we can just have a discussion. So just to start with, I'll just give you a small details about Griffith University, and then we can have a Q&A session. Is it fine?
Yes, definitely.
Great. So Griffith University started in 1970s, and we started with one campus in the suburbs of Brisbane. And today, in the year 2021, we have 5 physical campus and 1 digital campus. So our campuses are located in the cities of Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Logan. So quite an amazing campus where we have a strength of more than 50,000 plus students enrolled from 130 plus nationalities, and we offer more than 200 plus degrees, that is online as well as on campus. Also, our university is in top 2% university worldwide with Australia's most awarded teachers. So this is how our university is. And talking about the courses, we do offer the courses at undergraduate, postgraduate, and at PhD level as well.
Yeah, that's great. So it's also a research-oriented university, if I'm not wrong.
It is.
Yes. So actually, we do have students who has completed their masters and willing to take an admission into PhD programs to different international universities. So we might be receiving questions from them as well. Okay. Moving further, can you just tell me more about the digital campus you were talking about?
Okay, Digital Campus is our online campus, and we have this campus from a while, and it is our fastest growing campus. So it is for the students who are not looking forward to study on campus and want to study from their home country. The courses might differ a bit as compared to on-campus courses, and student can just do it at the flexibility wherever they are from home and can get the degree of Griffith University.
Okay, then this courses must be not carrying practical component, or does this carry practical component?
We do have a setup where we can have an online labs as well and assist the students with the different kind of projects. So it does have the practical component included in it.
Okay, that's great. And what are the fee differences you'll be having? As a student is not available on campus, he will be studying from his or her own country. So there will be quite a relaxation in fee, I guess.
Not quite, I will say, but because the kind of hard work which has been put up by our professors, the kind of content we'll be teaching will be at par which we'll be teaching on campus. So we don't compromise on when it comes to the quality. So student will be given 100% when it comes from the university, and it will be as good as on-campus student. So yes, so the fees flexibility, yes, not much.
Okay, and scholarship and other facilities will be as same as the on-campus student?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
the scholarship and other facilities which is available to the on-campus student will be same for the off-campus
No,
students?
it will be different. It will be different.
Okay, moving further, what was your experience during this pandemic? Like how the onshore students has connected with the online education, and also the international students who couldn't come to attend the lectures on campus. So how was their experience?
Yeah, so I'm sure you agree this pandemic has taught everyone a lot, okay, and with different experience at different stages. So yes, initially we all thought that the borders will open soon, but it took a while.
Yeah.
However, students who are really keen and really want to go ahead with the international education and looking for it, okay, they did enroll for the online and they were happy with it. Till date, we have students who are still studying with us online. Definitely, there are few bunch of students who are not keen, so they defer their intakes. But yes, and wonderful experience. The technology, what we bought in, the hands-on experience, what students have using their technology, different kind of portals, what we have is really very good. They have made their friends online. So tomorrow when they come on campus, they are like already have like known people over there. They will feel comfortable. That's really very nice. And nothing can be best like sitting at home, having homely food and studying and getting an international degree.
And not
So
bothering about finding accommodation and making their own food or traveling. We have to be there on time for their lectures. So this kind of hassle has been kind of waived off during the pandemic.
exactly. So that way students benefited a lot as well. And yes, students have been really doing good online as well.
Okay. Now talking about the pandemic. So pandemic is almost like, like giving the impact, but now all the countries are coming back to the normal condition. And they have just lifted up the restrictions. And as we have heard about the Australia, so few cities who went under lockdown, the lockdown has been also lifted up. And Scott Morrison himself is traveling and checking up on his citizen, like how they are, how their business has been affected, trying to make their people a bit comfortable and talking about with them of their problems, like what happened, what all you need, how things are going on. It's more of like that royal time thing when that king used to go among the people and ask them like how you guys are feeling. So same way. So what you are having updates for us?
Okay, if you're talking about borders opening update, yes, there are updates definitely. Some areas are still, I can say, in gray shades. Okay, but talking about Queensland as such, so with us, Griffith University, we are working very closely with the Australia government and the state government.
Sorry.
Students are expected to be there on campus by early June 2022, but it is going to be in a phased manner. So definitely the vaccines drive are there. We are looking at the kind of percentage people are vaccinated in Queensland. Okay, and we are very soon going to reach the mark of 90% vaccination.
Okay.
But when I say in the phased manner, so initially we are hoping that we will be getting written students as well as students who are looking for the medical courses. So when we say a written students, these are the students who started studying on campus, but now because of the border closure, they are not able to come back to Australia and continue their studies. So those will be the priority and the medical students and followed by the others. Also, this phase one is yet to get endorsed by the federal government. We are waiting for the endorsement. The moment they endorse, we'll have things going more actively. And there will be certain requirements. So for example, we will be looking forward to have students who are 18 years and above. That can be the priority. Then we will be looking for these students who are fully vaccinated. So you know that the vaccines are already approved, let it be COVID Shield or Covaxin by Bharat Biotech. So it's already been approved. Quarantine plan, yes, might be in place. We might ask students to go for a 14 days quarantine. Still a bit of gray area as to how it's going to work, but yes, it's there. Then we are looking for the primary visa holder. We are not looking for the secondary, that is a dependent or anyone. Our priority is going to be students as a primary visa holder. That's going to be very important. And student with the travel exemptions, they might get an email from Griffith University that your exemption is there, and then we are more likely to communicate with these students for the further process. So this is an update at this point of time. For more details, definitely students can go on our link. Everything is there on the Griffith website. And as the days will pass by, more clarity will be there. So we are also excited to see you on our campus. As you are excited to come to Australia, we are also excited to see you. So yes, things are going to be positive soon.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, I'm seeing few questions in our Q&A section. So I would just like to, tell our participants that Q&A section will be taken care by the end of the discussion. So till then, you can just post your question and we'll be talking about it end of the session. Okay, so Kapil, you have told us about what's the plan government is having for specifically for Queensland because it's state-wise it differs. So talking further, post-pandemic, what are the things students should be keeping in mind? Like what are the negatives or positives Australia is having? Now, financially, each and every country has been affected. So what is the scenario of the part-time job availability or healthcare or anything you want to point it out?
Nothing as such, just be normal. It's like a regular travel, what you're going to have, and be positive about it. Definitely, you can't say the things will function in the similar way, the way it used to be in 2018 and 19. Bit of difference is going to be there. But when it comes to the university, we are going extra miles to help these students, let it be our domestic students or international students. For example, if a student need a counseling, we are giving it free of cost. So we are taking care of these students, whether they want a health, health issues, or they want help in accommodation or in their education. Everything is being taken care of. And we do understand students have faced a lot of challenges and even their families in last 2 years. So all we want to say is nothing to bother. Just focus on your admissions, on your visas, and keep your eye on the updates of borders opening. And yes, you will be there in Australia. With regards to part-time jobs, if you're going to ask, uh, yes, we will help students in finding, okay, but we do not guarantee, as we have career and employment services, so student can seek our assistance for that. Part-time jobs are going to be there, yes, but students should be ready with the kind of jobs which are going to be there. They shouldn't be that we need a job as per our field only, because that's take a while. And we all know that Australia is one of the country which pays highest part-time job wages. So yes, we all looking for that.
They don't need to worry about anything. So
I
things
won't say
are
don't
almost
worry, they just
normal.
need to work hard for it. If they were
Yes.
working 80% hard, now they have to work 110% hard. That's it.
Okay, so when you're talking about the points, I also have one more question in my head that during this pandemic, some countries were open and they are open. So why students should choosing Australia over them?
Okay. Australia has always been one of the popular destinations among the international students, we all know. And from India, most of these students would love to consider Australia as an option. The reason why students should be choosing Australia, why they go, is very simple thing. There's no language barrier. Okay, first of all, English pretty acceptable. Economy of the country is very strong. So economically, if you see, the country is growing, and if you go to the country which is growing, it's beneficial for these students as well. Australia has world ranking universities. So the kind of universities you look at, and most of the universities are public universities over there. So kind of pretty big, and the kind of courses they offer, wide range of courses, right from undergraduate to postgraduate courses. And even the duration of the courses and the degrees, what they do are acceptable worldwide. So whether they go to any other country tomorrow, let it be they want to come back to India, want to go to UK, Canada, anywhere, that degree will be accepted. And definitely, I mean, the high standard of living, I would say, because once the student go, definitely lifestyle completely changes. So if they see in Australia, the high standard of living is obviously there. And one of the PR focused country, you all know, and students get the benefit of the post-study work visa ranging from 2 to 4 years. So that's the beauty about Australia.
That's great. Now, when you have talked about PSW work rights, can you just tell about Griffith campuses? So it has been located on the different locations. So which location is allowing how many years of PSW?
So if a student study at our campuses in Brisbane or Logan, they will be allowed for 2 years of post-study work visa. And if they study at our Gold Coast campus, they will be allowed for 3 years of post-study work visa. That is 2+1.
Okay, so that's great. I mean, like regional campuses are allowing students to stay back for one more extra year as compared to the city campuses.
Yeah, for Gold Coast, yes, we do extra 1 more year.
Okay, that's great. Now, looking at the scenario, what do you think? Which courses are in demand in Austria, career-wise?
Okay. If you talk about career-wise, the future, how it's going to be, what we can see is nursing and the medical staff are in huge demand. Okay. So any course related to nursing and medical will be in good demand. Software and IT becoming quite popular. Let it be networking and security, cyber security, artificial intelligence, quite in demand. Construction, civil engineering, we can definitely look at because the country is growing. Education courses. So let it be into Bachelor of Education, Master of Education. And if they go into education industry, let it be teaching, admin, anything, it's quite in demand. Engineers are in demand over there. And management professionals. So management professionals include accounting, hospitality, marketing. These are in demand. So yes, so these courses, what we see are going to be in demand in near future as well.
Okay, so when I have asked you about the careers in demand in Austria, so students actually come to me and like talking about the skill occupation list that ma'am, this course is over there in the list, so we want to learn this course. But I guess and I think that that's actually wrong way to choose any courses. So what do you think? On what basis students should be choosing courses, university and country? What are the points they should be keeping in their head?
They should be having a futuristic approach. Okay, so when we find anything, okay, like today having only one career or one degree is not really helpful for you, for me, for any of these students. So when we see a futuristic approach, if I'm a marketing person, I need to have a knowledge of IT or I need to have a knowledge of some other field as well. So they have to see how much wide, okay, they can study or the areas they can look at. That is very important. And if you talk about skilled occupation list, yes, it's there, always been there for Australia, but it also keeps on changing. Okay,
Yes.
it's getting revised. So students need to keep a check on it. But if they have that kind of caliber in them, okay, where they can prove, and they should do the degree where they have an interest in. If they are not able to perform what
Perfect.
they want to study, example, if I'm not interested into health and I'm pushed to do that course just because it is in skilled occupation list, it's not going to help me because you should be equally performer also in the university and you should have the good amount of knowledge for that particular course in order to be successful in your career. So when a student chooses the course, they should be considering all the factors, which is very important because any course they do, they have a demand in future. How they implement it is more important.
That's important because it's not just a matter of 2 to 3 years also. They have to pursue their job in the same field. If they're not liking the course, that doesn't given them a good experience to work in the same. They won't be having the creative idea. They will be like, okay, it's a job. I just need to do it on the I have to report on time. That's it. So yes, if they are interested in specific course and it's available on the skilled occupation list and then they are choosing it, then it's a correct point. So I guess participants will keep these points in their head while choosing country, course, and university. Okay, moving further, what kind of scholarships are available for our international students?
Okay. So if we talk about these scholarships, I'll be focusing on three main scholarships. First, we have this merit-based scholarship where we are offering 20% scholarship to these students. So if a student is applying for the master's course, then we look at the GPA. They need to have a GPA of 5 on the scale of 7 to get the 20% scholarship. And if it is an undergraduate student, then in their 12th grade, they need to have 70% in the best of 4 to get the 20% scholarship.
Okay.
Then, yeah, and if it's an IB student, we look at a score of 28. And talking about the other scholarship we have is an excellence scholarship, which is 25% scholarship. Here, the requirement is going to be a little high. So if a student is going for the master course, we need a GPA of 5.5 on the scale of 7. And if a student is going for the undergraduate course, then in the 12th grade, we are looking at 82% and above in the best of 4. And for IB student, we are looking for 33 and above. So this 20 and 25% scholarship, you do not need to make an application. If you deserve it, it's going to be part of the offer letter. And this scholarship will be for the duration of the course, provided you maintain the GPA. And the last scholarship, what we have is a remarkable scholarship, which is a 50% scholarship. Students with excellent grades can apply for it. There are deadlines to make an application for this scholarship around 3 to 4 months prior to the course start date. And students need to write an essay, and the deserving candidates will be getting this 50% scholarship. Definitely, the scholarship is pretty competitive. So early they apply, better it is.
That's great. And also, some of the universities are having extracurricular activity-based scholarships. So do we have that?
I'm sorry, I lost you.
Yes. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was asking about, do we have any extracurricular based scholarships for our international students?
Not really. That extracurricular based student can put it in the essay if they are, going for a remarkable scholarship, but not otherwise. That extracurricular activities will help them in putting them in the essay and telling that as to why they're exclusive or different from the other students and why they can deserve the remarkable scholarship, but not otherwise. There's no other scholarship which completely focus on the extracurricular activities.
Okay. Moving further, so you have mentioned about career centric department. So I guess that's student support services. So can you
Yes,
talk
it's a
about more?
part of student support services.
Yes.
Yes.
So can you talk about more, like how many student support services we have, what kind of, and when student needs to approach them, because many of the students are not aware about the facilities which is available to them, and they are not approaching, and then they are facing difficulties in doing like making resume or getting a job. So can you just pour some thoughts on that?
Okay, I'll be talking about the student services, as you said, and in that in particular, I will focus on the employment. Okay, so when we talk about student services, we talk about multiple areas. First, we talk about counseling and well-being of these students, because for us, health of the students is equally important, and it's not only physical health. We are talking about the mental health of these students. Then we have a department which talk about the IT support for these students, what they need. Okay, that is a part of student service. Disability support to these students. If they need, if they have any kind of disability, we support them. We have a study support for these students. We have a financial support, and we have a career support. Now, career support is a part where we are talking about employability. Okay. So when we talk about employability, I want to talk about two things. One we have is industry mentoring opportunity for these students. Okay. So this program, what we have, industry mentoring opportunity, it's one of our most rewarding program which we are running from past 25 years. And in a year, we run this program twice. So in the first half of the year, we give 1 month to the students to choose their mentor. And next 3 months, they talk to their mentor, they communicate as to how their career graph should be. So kind of very popular program what we have. And as an extra service, we also have a career hub for these students where they can come to us. We help them in letting them know what kind of resume is expected. It's a one-stop shop for their jobs, for their applications. Okay, letting them know how the industry is moving. So in the year 2020, we have more than 2 lakhs engagement, okay, of these students, employers, everyone. That's how big the career hub is. Students can book an appointment with our career advisors as well. And students also have an access to browse the profile of the companies. Now, this career hub which I'm talking about is not only useful for the student, it is useful for the employers as well. So if you can allow me, I would like to share a small video showing the same. Can I do that?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
At Griffith, We know employees are the heart of any business. Griffith credentials are a
Pause the video for a bit. So it will be, load and will be visible to our audience.
employees to reach their potential. While studying at Griffith, students can earn digital badges to showcase a variety of skills. Badges are a verified and reliable way for employers to understand a candidate's abilities and more accurately match them to a role. Employers can also use digital
Okay,
badges.
video is not visible to me. So I'm just been able to see or hear the audio, not the video. Can you just replay it?
I'll do it again. Just give me a
Yes,
moment.
please. Yes, perfect.
Know employees are the heart of any business. Griffith credentials are a simple and effective tool to help organisations select the best talent and support existing employees to reach their potential. While studying at Griffith, students can earn digital badges to showcase a variety of skills. Badges are a verified and reliable way for employers to understand a candidate's abilities and more accurately match them to a role. Employers can also use digital badges when upskilling their existing staff. Our professional learning hub creates fully tailored programs that address specific business needs or challenges. Upon completion, participants receive a digital badge as recognition of their unique skill set, which may also be credited towards further study. For more information on how Griffith credentials can support your business, visit our website.
Thank you.
So that was a wonderful information for our audience. So moving further, I also wanted to, ask you about the student experience. Like you are having a video about how student is having, experience on Griffith campus. Can you just play that video?
Sure, I'll do that for you.
My name is Anime Manila. I'm happy.
Again, same problem is happening. Pause the video and then share your screen.
You let me know if you can see now. Okay, I'm doing it.
Yes.
My name is Anime Manila. I'm happy.
No, I'm just been able to hear it.
Okay, let me do it
Just
again. Same way what
yes.
we did. Yeah, let me do it again now.
Yes. Perfect. Now I'm able to see and hear both.
My name is Anime Manila. I'm half Indian, half Filipino. I'm studying on the Griffith University Gold Coast campus. I've been here for almost 2 years. I had never thought about Australia as a destination, but when I started researching, what stood out to me is that Griffith seemed really modern with its infrastructure as well as the teaching style. The lecturers and teachers have been really great. They're definitely there for us to lean on and seek a little bit of guidance. If you don't understand something and you're too embarrassed to ask in class, you can always email them. There's not a day where you don't learn anything. My student life has been really fun. The facilities are really modern. I like to exercise. I like working out. Initially, I was a little shy, I would say, but once you get out there, the Griffith community, I think, is really friendly and really helpful. Aside from the accolades of the school, I was really drawn to the environment. I love the beaches. Being here is just a whole different experience, very different from both the places where I grew up. I would say do it. And don't think twice about studying at Griffith. It's been an experience and I've been loving it. Griffith, to me, means building a brighter future for myself.
Thank you.
Yeah, that video was more of like, telling our audience that how exactly the life you'll be having over there. Because sitting here in India, you won't be getting that experience. So that's actually issues faced by the students who has joined but not been able to visit the campus. But hope they'll be visit the campus soon. And now I'll have just last point that, we have discussed all the important points, about the border opening, about the Griffith, what are the facilities students are going to get over there, and also we have seen that what is the employability rate, how this career central department is working, and how students is living over there on campus. Now the last is I'm giving you open choice, like what else you want to share with our audience.
Okay, so I've shared a lot actually, but just to tell you that keep hopes, Australia has an excellent education system. Once you reach there, you are in different world, and it's not only about education when you come overseas, it's about the experience. So right from day one, in India also, if you seek an agent, like if you go to expert education, right from your application, gathering the documents, looking at your funds is also a different experience altogether. But yes, the main experience will start when you book your tickets, you get your forex, your money, and you are there at the airport waving your family goodbye for some time. And when you land, it's in a different world altogether. You will find a lot of differences, like everything. The time has changed. I mean, everything, the people, the way they talk, the technology, and that all is learning. So when you reach Australia, it's you have to make friends from the different countries, make local friends, make friends from Europe, Asia also definitely yes, North America, Africa, whichever part you can, and your learning starts from day one, right? With food, with accommodation, with part-time jobs, with university professors, and over there, education is completely different. Professors are quite approachable and quite flexible over there. So go with an open mind and get learning as much as you can. Yeah.
That's a great point that students should be keeping in mind, because going to some different country, you're not been there before, so it's quite important that you talk to everyone, make new friends, and being open for everything, all the opportunity, where you can work, what kind of question you are having, and talking about the professors' nature. Okay, I agree with that professors are much more cooler over there than here, so student doesn't have to have that fear, like whether I should be asking this question or not. So you can straight away ask your question. Now moving further with our Q&A section. So we have received 3 questions. So first one, I have received question from Birju. So Birju is actually discussing her profile that I have completed my Bachelor of Science in 2020, but I have 12 backlogs and score was 65%. Can I still apply for masters?
Birju, you can definitely apply for the masters, and we will be having a look at your profile as to what you have been doing post your bachelor's. But talking about your grades, we need to calculate as per our GPA. So as per our GPA requirement, if you come to the requirement of maybe 4.5 to 5 out of 7, we will be happy to issue the offer letter to you. And it all depends on the course you choose, because every course have a different requirement. So yes, first you do fix the course with expert education as to what exactly you want to do, and then definitely can go ahead and make an application. It's not that difficult. Having 12 backlogs, don't feel low about it. You can still make it for some of the other course, or maybe via pathway. We do have a pathway that is an MQP, we call it as Master Qualifying Program leading to Masters. So that is also a pathway open for you depending on the course you choose.
When you have to mention about the pathway, you do have pathway for PhD students, am I right?
We have a pathway for a bachelor students as well as for master students. Bachelor students will come via a diploma pathway, and master students will come via MQP pathway.
Okay. What are the PhD requirements? Do the students have to have some publications with them?
PhD requirement, we want students to be at least a bachelor or masters, and definitely a strong research proposal. And if we have vacancy in that area, we will be definitely having a look at the profile of these students and their research as well. Publication, not mandatory, but having publications, definitely nothing like it. I mean, it's quite impressive. Your overall profile matters a lot, but your grades are equally important. And students can apply for scholarships where they can get in scholarships for their fees as well as for the accommodation. And for PhD, our applications are open throughout the year, and we have 4 intakes for that.
That's great. Student can apply anytime whenever they feel like to. Specific to PhD students, of course.
PhD. Right.
Yeah, moving further, Emmy is asking what is the eligibility for Bachelor in Forensic Science? I have secured 52% in her 12th science with maths. Am I eligible?
We really need to find out how much you have scored in best of 4, but 52 sounds to be really very low. So getting an admission with direct university might be tough because we will be looking at around 65% and above. So if you do
Okay.
not meet the requirement, then you can try via diploma leading to degree pathway.
Okay, and as I'm able to see in her question that she has taken maths. So for forensic science, biology is required or maths will do.
Maths will do.
Okay, moving further, mechanical
But
is in
for
demand.
me, the more worries the percentage of the student. Yes. 52.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Moving further, Patel Abhi is asking, is mechanical in demand? So that was, I guess, related to career demand in
Yes.
Australia.
Yes. It is in demand, and we started Master of Professional Engineering with a major into mechanical engineering approximately 2 years ago, looking at the demand in the market. And if you talk about bachelor's program, we do have Bachelor of Engineering with mechanical. And last year, we also introduced mechatronics. So the reason we introduced all this course is considering the demand in the market. So demand is there for the mechanical engineering. I'm not sure you're asking for the bachelor's or master's level, whatever it is, but the demand is there for the industry.
Seems like his question more of like, should I be taking mechanical because is it in demand or not in demand? So that way. Okay, focusing on the one more question from Amy again. So her younger brother has given 11th grade exam in commerce, and is it possible for him to apply for any diploma leading to bachelor's after 12th? Oh, sorry, 11th.
It is possible after 12, but not after 11.
Yes, that's why I'm mistaking read it 12th
No,
instead
but that's
of.
okay. But it is possible after 12th only, anyways. After 11th, the students won't be going for diploma. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not seeing any more question over here, but from my team, I have received one question from our social media platform, and that is, do we provide wildlife science program for PhD students?
We need, as I said, we have a lot of PhD. Okay, now in wildlife science, also, what exactly student need to do? We need to figure this out. Okay, because wildlife science again is a very big terminology. In that, where they exactly need to get into, okay, like into the bio part of it, or maybe into the other things, we need to figure that out, and then they can discuss it with our professors, and they can guide them. They can find a supervisor. The links are there actually. If you go on our website, you can find out, or if you want, I can share a few links. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, you can just drop it in chat box, so that will be much more easier for our participant. Or even I can email them later for the specific PhD inquiries.
Okay.
Whatever
Yes.
suits you.
Yeah. So I'll just put it in the chat box right now, and whatever makes you comfortable, you can share it later, as
Sure.
well as they can make a note of it now. That will be okay. Right.
Yes.
Any other questions from anyone?
Just let me just check over there. No, I guess that's all. We haven't received any more questions because our discussion has answered more of their doubts, whatever doubts they were having. And also to
Great.
our audience, that Kapil is visiting our office next week. So I'll drop the details on your email address and on your WhatsApp number. Kindly visit our office if you're interested in making an application or knowing more about Griffith University. And for the students who have shared their profile, for further and detailed counseling, I have to verify your documents, and based on that, we can discuss about what are the courses and options you are having. So you can visit our office anytime between 10 to 6. We are happy to help you.
Thank you, Expert Education team. And if you are interested to see me in Ahmedabad, then I'll be there at Expert Education office on 26th of November, to be more precise, afternoon. Yes. So thank you very much for the entire team of Expert Education, and thank you, audience.
Thank you so much,
ahead.
Kapil. I'll just hold you back for a minute. I got one more question from Amy. Amy is asking, can I apply for diploma if my percentage are low?
Yes, you can apply for the diploma if your percentage is low. However, for diploma also there is a set criteria. Like for the bachelor's, as I said, if you're looking, for example, Bachelor of Science or Business, we have a 65% as a standard entry. Same way, a diploma will have some standard requirement, like maybe a 55, 58%. So you need to check on it. But yes, if you do not meet the requirement, you can definitely try via diploma pathway.
Okay, so that was wonderful information. I guess hope everyone has been satisfied with their doubts and query, because we have promised them that they will get your query and questions resolved by university representative itself. So that has been done successfully. So hope no one is having any more questions. Just let me check last time. Thank you. Thank you, Emily, for asking this many questions. We enjoyed your doubts, and actually that has given much more information to other audience who are thinking in the same direction.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So,
everyone.
Kapil, I guess we would like to end the session now. We have done all the things. Thank you for participating here and giving this enriching session over here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Have a
Thank you,
great day.
everyone.
Hope to meet
Bye.
you next week.
Sure.